having
Keep going.
this is screwball with frozen cherries.
No shit.
It's like a peanut butter and cherry cocktail. I got a whole case of screwball from my work. They gave me a whole case, like 6 big bottles of screwball.
Did they really?
Yeah, they know I like it, so they gave it to me as a gift.
You are like the you are like the Chinese translator. It's
I'm like the
there he is.
whisperer. I'm a whisperer. What's going on, Brandon? Welcome
Brandon
aboard.
Davis.
Much. What's up?
Not much. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right.
All right.
Just been wrangling kids,
Yeah. Where you
That's
been? I heard
great.
you traveling.
So the weekend I was in Oklahoma, visiting my parents and my brother and nieces and nephews, and then came home and went right back to Dallas for a ACG conference.
Yeah.
Like a mid-market business conference. Very productive for me because I'm just trying to learn that market and the people that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fucking expensive money in there for sure. Like it's crazy.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I just realized
SBIC lenders that are just like they get
I just
money.
realized
So
who our
basically,
guest was. Like
you just now figured it out?
I just realized who our guest was. Like Jeremy said, "Hey, we got Brandon Davis tonight." I was like, "Oh, okay, good." And then I realized, oh, I sold this guy a business. He might not be happy to see me.
Depends on how the business is doing, right?
Doing just fine. You didn't
what's
sell me
up,
a
Brandon? How are
total
you?
piece of shit. I'm doing good.
He's like, I had a bone to pick with you.
No, hell no. I know how to get a hold of him if I do.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, well, welcome
That's
aboard,
funny.
man. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for
Thanks
joining
for
us.
having me.
Yeah, we don't.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've ever. I'm sure you've never watched any of our episodes. They're pretty much. They're pretty much just us shooting the shit. We don't focus on anything in particular. We don't have any. We don't have any political agendas or anything. Advertising, whatever.
Well, then you're not pissing anybody off to get people to listen enough. I mean, you gotta piss
Yeah.
everybody. You gotta piss half the people off to get the other people to like you. I mean, that's the way you gotta do it.
I think I do piss people off, but I don't. I don't. That's not the goal here.
That's just a work, Lloyd. That's just
Yeah, that's just me. That's just how it goes, you know.
Okay, so truth be told,
Yeah.
Brandon is one of our few followers on Instagram, and
Oh, excellent.
and so I got a DM that was just like, I know Lloyd Fussell, and I was like, well, shit, and so
Yeah.
let's jump online and see how this goes. So
Yeah, for sure.
we
So
like Lloyd said, we're free format, non-technical, mostly just war stories or good stories. It doesn't have to be oil and gas related. And so welcome.
at one point,
we're happy to have you.
early on, it was kind of funny, and I was pretty funny. And then at some point, like in the last 3 months, I've been very angry and not putting on a good entertaining show, I would say, in my opinion. I just kind of been participating. But
so it's his way of saying I've been carrying him for 3 months.
Yeah, Jeremy's been carrying me. But
it goes back and forth.
I'm feeling good, man. Things are going well. I had some drinks this evening before we got here. I figured, we got to bring the funny back, try to do some funny stuff. In fact, Brandon, have you watched any of the episodes? Have you actually watched any?
I have not watched. I've listened to a couple, but I have not watched.
Okay, so are you aware of my air fryer?
No. What?
So, do you have an air fryer?
Prepare yourself for the worst joke ever made.
I do.
So everybody was telling me about them. They're like, oh, you can lose weight if you start using an air fryer and whatever. So I went and got one, and I don't understand all the rage because I can't get the grease hot.
Well, I've thrown French fries in mine so many times it's been filled up with grease from the shit that drips off of them. So I completely understand what you're saying. It does wonders with French fries though, which is not healthy. I did not get it to be healthy. I got it to reheat food that I otherwise wouldn't reheat. I would just throw the shit out. And now on occasion, hold on, I have to shut a fridge that my kids left open, I guess.
That's fine.
Anyway, that's what we do here. We tell amazing jokes. That's kind of the goal of the show. Amazing original content. That's a joke that's been told here at least half a dozen times.
I usually edit it out.
Yeah, one time he edited it out with a guy like, "Let's all go to the movies."
Remember the
And the
old
guy's got the
drive-in kind of
popcorn.
like the dancing candies? Like that's all good. That's a totally. He started out. He's like, "You got an air fryer?" I was like, "Yep." Edit that shit out.
Yeah, and then he played the. And I'll be honest with you, it made me laugh out loud. It was funnier than the joke, honestly.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
So lately, you guys both know, I work with people of foreign nationality. Well, a lot of people of foreign nationality. And
Very aware.
one of the interesting things that I've found lately is that sometimes they try to use like local sayings, but they don't get them exactly right. Um, One of the ones that happened recently this week, I'm not going to say any names, but I was in a big meeting and someone was, we have the saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes, right? And everybody is familiar with that. And that's what I think that the person was going for. But they said, what we will do is put the shoes on other feet. I was like, okay, that's not exactly right. And then one of my other coworkers, he was raided, and he comes in, he's like, "Oh, Lloyd, it's raining dogs and cats out there." And I was like, "Okay, that's close.
You're getting close.
That's pretty close."
Does it really matter which way you go with that one, though?
I mean, it just sounds better.
Dog and cats and dogs. I mean, maybe a dyslexic person would just get that one backwards. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think you nailed it.
I told my wife about it just because I find it entertaining, and so she and I have been like texting each other like totally wrong sayings. Like this morning I got up and I told her that to just always remember what's good for the goose is good for the rooster, which I thought was pretty good, because it's good for the goose, good for the gander, which is the male goose, and so I thought a male chicken. That's a perfect screw up of that particular one. Anyway, I find it fun. I've been throwing them around, so I might throw a few out during the episode just so you guys are aware if I have a good opportunity, because I've got a whole laundry list of them I've been putting together.
My favorite is when I go visit your office. It's just like I want introductions. They're like, "My name is Charlie or Bob or Joe." It's just like it's not because the other name is so complex. It's just like, just call me John. I'm John.
It's actually simple names, but for whatever reason, like we can't pronounce them correctly. Like it'll just be like Jow.
It's the tone. It's the tone.
Yeah,
right?
you got to say it right, and it's not right.
How is your Chinese coming? Are you nailing it? Are you?
Yeah, we're fucking killing it, dude. It's crazy. Like things are blowing up. It's going nuts.
Yeah, good for you.
Really good. Yeah, really good.
Good deal.
Yeah.
My favorite Lloyd quote was, he's like, "Hell yeah, I'm a good salesman." He's like, "I'm selling Chinese iron in America." But you're doing a hell of a good job at it. You're doing a hell of a good job at it.
In this business climate, I people are looking for any gain they can make anywhere, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's good. We're building a reputation, man. People are starting to really appreciate what we do and pay attention to how good our equipment's performing. So knock on wood.
I have two facilities full of their equipment, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Works just fine.
Yeah. There you go.
Works just fine.
I'm glad it's still working fine. Good deal.
Yes, it is. It's other things that fuck up, not that. It's everything else, it seems, but
the pumps are pretty good, man.
Our
pumps are good.
Good deal.
Well, good. I'm glad you're happy. That sounds good. I didn't know. I talked to Brandon recently. We did a transaction recently. So yeah, appreciate that as well.
Happy to do it. Yeah, you would have heard if I wasn't happy. I mean,
I figured.
You know me well. You don't know me well, but you know me well enough that if something was like, I feel like somebody just completely pulled the shades over me to get this deal done, and here I am with this giant mess. It's not. I would have absolutely called you.
You would have heard about it. You would have heard about it.
Well, or you would have heard about it from someone else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we tried to get it ready for you. I did the best I could to get everything ready for you to transition. So I'm glad you're happy.
Very good.
Anyway, what do you got going on these days? What else are you doing?
Looking for new deals. Closed on my last purchase at the end of the year last year was a chocolate brand.
Nice.
Yeah, it's certified organic chocolate.
Get out of here.
With renewable farming and sustainable farming, excuse me. And recycled product packaging and things of that nature. It's a very, very green friendly company. So sold in Whole Foods, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, REI, called Alter Eco, and it's mostly chocolate. They have granola as well, but
I like
that's it.
chocolate. I'm a big fan of chocolate.
I do too, and I've never really eaten chocolate bars, and I do all the time now. So this is not necessarily the best move I made, but it's good. So,
Yeah,
Wait, I can't.
Yeah.
The boys probably love that stuff. That's probably
they do.
having them
They
around.
do. That's the only dark chocolate they'll eat. So it says a lot.
It's not
So is
bad.
it just like a confectioner, or do you have the farms where you grow the cocoa and everything?
So I have the brand. It's been around for 20 years, and that's what I bought.
Okay.
We have the U.S., Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, and Australia. There's a separate brand, same exact franchise, if you will, in Europe. So Europe and Asia. So we are the U.S., basically the Americas, and Australia, New Zealand, and we have our product made in Switzerland.
Okay.
The cacao comes from Central America, and it's all part of our arrangement with our manufacturer. So it's a turnkey deal to us, which is pretty easy. You know, I no offense, but the company you bought is like a lead weight and a sore thumb. The one I bought from you versus this,
Yeah,
because
sure.
it does like 3 times the revenue and has 6 employees. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's
That sounds like
a
a much
whole
better
new
deal.
ball game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, where it's at right now, I can say I have the books. The last 20 years didn't look so good, but it's at the right point now where it makes sense. So,
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you had a good acquisition. That's really cool, man. So, so you're looking to do things other than oil and gas? Then it sounds like you're
Obviously, the
expanding the
parts are hanging,
horizons.
yeah.
I would add to potentially the company I acquired from you guys. I mean, we're kind of on the fence on that, or sell it. Trying to sell the rest of my oil and gas assets. And yeah, I'm looking for other things. I honestly, I'm not opposed to oil and gas. We're just looking for the right opportunities, and the industry really doesn't matter. So we're looking everywhere.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Very
Have
cool.
you looked at the power business? The power business is on fire.
There we
I
go.
haven't really looked at that.
Yeah.
I haven't. I have not. Maybe I should.
Now, don't look into it at all. I don't need any more competitors. So,
I would argue that I represent a company called a different company that might be.
no. No, yeah, we have our guest, our next guest after you. We're
actually
doing a double header this evening. Is one of my used to be my customer and is now one of my competitors. But I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it that way.
I'm kind of impressed she's going to come on the show tonight, because I was kind of like I didn't know if there was
Everybody likes me, even if I compete with you. I'm a good guy. Everybody has fun.
Well, what? Yeah, yeah, you are.
I mean, there's plenty of room in that space, I would think. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a lot of room.
Well, that's the
A
thing,
lot of
right?
money, a lot of room.
I don't see it as being competition, because I can tell you right now, if I ever have a generator parked in my yard and one of my competitors needs it, all they got to do is call, because I don't want it sitting around not generating revenue. So it's available to anybody if I have it parked. So, it's a situation where we were building generators. We built a really nice generator. We sold a couple of them to one of our customers at the time, and still a customer. We still service them, service their equipment, take care of it. But the issue was, it's a really high dollar piece of equipment. I mean, you're talking about a $25 million piece of equipment. And I had a certain number of turbines to build these with. We had a certain number of turbines to build these with. And you can't just build them and hope. So it's not like the Fields of Dreams, right? Where you build them and hope somebody comes, because it's a pretty significant investment. So I was trying to get people to buy them, 6 months in advance or something, give us some deposit, so we knew we had a home for it. And everybody was willing to buy it as soon as it was finished. Like right when it finished, my phone was ringing off the hook with everybody wanting to purchase it when it was ready to deploy. But that doesn't work for our business. And so in order to continue manufacturing them, we decided to start operating them. That way we would be responsible for finding a home for them. And once we did that, that's what we started doing. And so far we've found a home for all of them we've built, and hope to continue to do so. And but if somebody calls me and they're willing to give me some money ahead of time, I'll build them one. I don't care.
Yeah.
They just got to pay me in advance so that I can justify the investment to build it for them. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I'll send your company an invoice for the shameless plug on oil and gas lighting.
Hey, I feel like I've contributed enough to be a justifiable sponsor.
Oh, that's questionable.
Bye.
I didn't even mention the company name, so there you
That
go.
is true. That is true. Fair enough. Fair enough. But
Oh, it
Google.
sounds smart to me.
Yeah,
Actually,
I mean,
it's an emerging industry. I'm finding out. It's actually kind of interesting, and it's about time somebody starts compressing some natural gas and making some things happen. But
oh yeah, man. This is one of the things we talk about, Brandon, sometimes is, a lot of people in the industry don't like electric vehicles. I love electric vehicles because as far as I'm concerned, those are natural gas vehicles.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's only so much energy being produced, right? I mean,
That's
it
right.
has to come from somewhere, and that's the cleanest way to get it right now. So
100%. I love them. I think they're great. I wish everybody
legitimately,
had one.
anyway.
It's kind of like
What's that?
abortions. I love them. I think everybody should have one. It's kind of like abortions. I think every liberal should have 2 or 3.
Jesus Christ.
Ah,
This is why we don't have. This is why we don't have
Ba-dum-dum.
sponsors. This is
we got a
well,
red
we do
shot.
have sponsors, but we.
Yeah, there you
Oh
go.
man.
Edit.
I
Let
told
me
you.
let me make a note when I'm editing this.
Get the timestamp.
Oh, there's Pika. Here's the pooch. Come here, dog.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good dog. That's the name of the company.
That's the name of your company.
That's the name of my company. So actually, Brandon,
How do you know Jeremy?
You've got a Frenchie, right? A long-haired Frenchie, is that correct?
I have a long-haired Frenchie somewhere. He's probably sleeping. That's what he usually does. Actually, he's on the couch staring at me.
Very nice. They do that like 16 hours a
You
day.
can see his eyes. Come here.
Oh yeah, I can see him in the back. Yeah.
You see him back there? His little eyes, right?
Oh yeah.
Now you can see his little ears. Like,
Hello.
Yeah, I'll get texts from Proof sometimes. She's like, "What's the dog doing?" I'm like, "What's the dog always do?" It's like it's just laying here. It's just
they sleep a lot.
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
They sleep, they snore, and they fart. That's basically a French bulldog. I don't know how the
Wow.
long hairs are, but I'm guessing it's not too different.
I might be related.
I'm not
I
far
might
from it either.
have a little Frenchie in me there. So Brandon, how do you know Jeremy?
So my 5-year-old that's in pre-K 4 goes to school with Jeremy.
Oh yeah. Jeremy told me that story. Yeah, actually, he told me that one day while we were like in a downtime during one of the podcasts. He was asking.
Yep.
I told him that I knew you. I was like, I think it's the same Brandon that I know. Yeah, so that's good.
Yep, that's how.
Yep, we did T-ball practice the other day. It was pretty good.
Exciting. Yep.
It wasn't bad. It was
Knocking them out of the park over there.
Yeah, Brock's a stud.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. We've got some
Takes a lot of patience.
We've got some, it does. It takes a lot of patience, and the boys are all good, but I mean, I just decided to show up practice just to help out. And Tuesday I had to deal with, like, even before, this sounds like a mom or something, but I had to deal with like kid had an accident, so I had to deal with that. It's like, what do you do with that? It's just like, I don't know. He's like, I gotta pee, and we're like, go pee on the bushes like a normal dude. And then that all happened, and that was a big deal. And that was like half a practice. It's like herding cats. It's herding cats.
Yeah.
So
it's worse. Cats are scared of you. You can scare a cat. You can't scare a kid anymore. Like, they're just
not anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's a whole generational thing. It doesn't matter how much exposure they have to the public either. Like, it doesn't
Almost
matter.
like the more they have, the less scared they get.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
It's ridiculous. My
It's crazy.
biggest beef lately is and my wife does this shit all the time, where it's just like, I mean, this, ours is 4, and it's just like, and she's like, well, do you want this or do you want this? I'm like, he's 4. He doesn't have a choice. Give
it to him.
You get what you get, and that's what you get. And you're not
what you
cry
get.
about
You
it.
don't throw a fit, and you have a happy heart.
But I see in life, just kind of some of the circles I run with, I'm just like constantly, they're like, oh, well, do you want this or do you want this? I'm like, you know what? You're just kind of, I had talked to a buddy of mine, and they were talking about like millennials, because everybody wants to bitch about millennials. And the speaker at the conference, the oil and gas conference, is like, for all you guys out there that are bitching about millennials, just shut up, because you fucking raised them. It's just like, and it's kind of the way I feel about these younger kids, where it's like, you know what? I still believe in rules. I still believe in, have some choices, but your choice is like, do you want steak or do you want potatoes? You can, or both.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make you a special meal.
You guys are familiar with Jerry Clower? You guys know who that is? Jerry Clower. He's an old
No.
comedian from the like he was a he was a Southern comedian from several years ago, like in the 70s or something. Big guy. He was a big guy. But he used to tell stories about his family and Marcel Ledbetter. The Ledbetters were his family, and Marcel had a dog that would eat collard greens. And so they were over there and they were like, Marcel, how'd you get your dog to eat collard greens? I'm like, my dog won't even look at them. And he's like, well, he didn't like them for 2 or 3 weeks. That's how you feed your children.
Hey,
They don't like broccoli.
Yeah.
Give them broccoli for 2 or 3 weeks.
So I agree, but you know, I only have my kids half the time, and
Fair.
their nanny is with them all the time, and she asks them what they want and then makes it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
rough.
you know, once that shit gets started on the weekends, it's long for me. I'm like, hey, what do you no? Oh, here's what I'm making.
Yeah.
You can eat it. You can be hungry. I don't really care
like
which way you go.
pancakes.
Yeah, who doesn't like pancakes?
Yeah, come
Seriously.
on. You don't like pancakes? You're just fucking with me right now.
Wouldn't try French toast one day. And it's like, what is? Come on.
French toast.
Like, who's the one that told you to start eating this and that and this and that? All things they probably shouldn't eat, but it's all because of me. Like you whatever I say to eat, you should just eat because it's going to be good.
I agree.
Not how
I'm
they
pretty
think.
good. I'm pretty good there too. Like if I tell you something's good, you've got it pretty good. I mean, I didn't get this physique not knowing what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost about 60 pounds in the last 6 years, so I've been there too.
Yeah.
I still
60
like to
pounds.
eat like crazy. I
Congratulations.
ran 6 miles today so I could eat whatever I want.
There you go.
I mean,
I don't have that kind of
that's my
dedication.
answer.
When I got out of the army,
Are you
I
just
swore I'd
running, or
never
do you
run
have like
again.
a mix of stuff, or what are you doing to shed the weight?
I run and lift, and that's about it. I should do Pilates and yoga too, but it's a pretty big time commitment, and I really look bad doing it. So I mean, it's
Well,
ugly.
you can wear different pants. You don't have to wear those
It's
pants.
I don't wear those pants. No, or the shorts. Some of the. I mean, no. I don't take my shirt off because, you know, I just don't, and I can't touch my toes, so I just look like an idiot. You know? Like,
Yeah,
No,
I'm that guy.
I just started literally yesterday. I just started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So
Nice.
So I'd been walking. I had been driving by this gym for probably 10 years, and I was like, I'm going in. I'm doing it. And I will tell you what, I've never had more fun getting my ass handed to me in a real way than yesterday. I was telling my wife, I was like, yeah, I was doing pretty good. I wasn't tapping out, and I was determined I wasn't going to tap out. And I had buddies of mine. They're like, don't tap out like a bitch. And so this guy gets me in this lock. And about the time my vision started to blur and I could feel myself starting to fade a little bit, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, I'm too old.
Tap out.
I'm too old to fucking pass out on this mat right now. So, but I tell you what, you know, it's something. As I've gotten older, it's just like it's been super important to me to get after. But man, that's 60 pounds. It's a lot. That's significant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. At about 10 inches was also
It's the
part of that
chocolate.
equation.
I think you should start a chocolate diet. Like that
10
should be-
inches.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually really good for you. Have you heard about all the health benefits
sure.
of dark chocolate? I mean, it's
Yeah.
out there, and the cleaner it is, and the less cadmium it has in it, the better it is for you. On top of that, so I mean, there's big benefits there.
Yeah, I know. Do you have any of the chocolate bars that have chili in them, like hot peppers?
No,
See,
I do not.
that was a traditional thing from the Aztecs. I learned this at a museum one time. So the Aztecs would make a drink out of cocoa, and it was a spicy drink. They didn't have sugar so much, so they would mix cocoa with chili, and that's what they would drink. And I forget what they called it, but that was a Aztec like cocktail, was chili peppers and cacao.
News to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that stuff is getting expensive. So
I'm
you guys
sure.
noticed?
I
Really?
haven't.
Yeah, it's gone from like 4,000 a ton to like 9,000 a ton since December.
Yeah.
That sounds like
What do you attribute to that? Is that just inflation, or is it just like
I mean, it's something to do with the crops and demand. I mean, I don't know all the details, but I just know it's scary.
It's interesting how whenever you just start printing out trillions of dollars, how much more things cost.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. This is an international commodity market though, so it's tied to something going for most of the cacao comes from Africa, and I don't know what the reason is behind it. I can't remember. I looked and then I forgot, and I should probably know since it's the primary product in my new company's chocolate.
Yeah.
But I don't, because I can't do anything about it. All I've been doing is trying to find ways around having to pay for it with relationships and things of that nature. So that's the part I can control. So I'm working on that. Why it happened, who knows? And it's why does oil go up and down these days? You flip a coin and you could give me three answers and flip a coin and they're all wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
It's crazy.
In your experience in that, would you say, I mean, is a commodity, or is oil different from chocolate, or is it's just business is business? I mean, is there differences? I mean, other than the staffing, I mean, humans always cost you a lot, but I mean, are you seeing differences in the business practices or like anything like that? Or is it just more just like, hey, you guys are making money, just keep on doing it?
Well, no, no. It's there's a mismanagement, overspending, and missed markets, and things of that nature, strategic alignments and relationships that aren't complicated, and logistics probably the biggest thing. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but the product is made in Switzerland, right?
Okay. Right. It's got to get from Central America to Switzerland.
Most of the cacao comes from Central America to what we use, and so it's shipped there, and then from there, before we bought the company, it was being shipped to Oakland, and then trucked to Ohio. And so now that we have the company, we're going from Switzerland to Ohio, saved 3 months and a couple $1 million a year. But that's one thing, just one, and it's just and we're actually working on moving that all to Central America. So then we go from there to Houston, and we're done. And so that's the end. Even a better situation if we can get it done. So anyway, but yeah, it's just stuff like that. I mean, that and overstaffing, and legacy companies that are still family owned with founder owned a lot of times have a lot of overhead they don't need. And they're missing a lot of pieces they do need. And that's been kind of what we've noticed when we've looked at those. But that all boils down to being able to either get along with those people or run the business without them. And those two things are both a little tricky. So, because I'm not looking for a job, I'm looking for a company to buy that somebody else can take and run. And I don't want to have to be all up in the middle of it. I strategically thinking and assisting and doing, I can do that with 5 companies, but I can't run 5 companies. Right. So it gets a little tricky.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you and I went to coffee early on, we had met at Regis, and tell me a little bit about, like, so you're kind of like in my opinion, you're kind of like a bootstrap story from Oklahoma. So tell me, where are you from, and how did this come to be? I mean, I know you started your own operation when you were pretty young. Like, do you mind telling that story?
No, I don't mind.
If you don't want to, that's okay.
It's a long story, but I'll try to make it short.
No, make it long. We got like 30 minutes to kill.
No. To all fairness, I told Brandon he got 30 and he's good, but
whatever. I don't have anything else going on. So, I grew up in Oklahoma, Cheyenne, Oklahoma. If you know where that is.
Yep.
200 or 300 people these days. I think at one point back in the 80s, in the heyday, it was 600. I was born in Elk City, so I grew up out there, and my parents divorced when I was young, so I changed schools a lot, back and forth to the same schools a lot. Lived in all the little small towns in Western Oklahoma. I feel like most of them, most of the ugly, small, extremely biased, small town in Oklahoma. Like I've lived in it. Hated it, but I lived there. It's all I knew. And at some point, I ended up in Oklahoma City, going to college at Central Oklahoma, and I was out to drinks with my boss, where I was selling vacation club memberships. And he popped off and said, "Hey, I'll sell you half this franchise for $5,000." I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yes." So I went, and I don't think he thought I could get the money. And there were 3 other guys that worked for him there. And I walked over to an ATM. and just yanked out the money. That was before they had stupid limits on all of them where you couldn't get any money out of them. And off a credit card, that was my cash advance limit, and I yanked it out and handed it to him. I'm like, here you go.
No
and
shit.
so that was my first. Like as an adult, I had a bunch of business stuff when I was a kid, but it was mostly just labor. So anyway, that was very successful. Worked out really well for him and for me. It doubled his income and more than did that to me. So it worked out really well, and it grew to the point he sold the franchise, but I didn't have a contract. So I got a job when they sold. I didn't get any money, and my job paid me about a third of what I was making. So that didn't last long. And then I moved to Colorado, and I never graduated from college. I hated college. I think I have maybe 100 hours completed, maybe.
Yeah.
And I did that part-time while I worked 3 jobs, and that was that. But I moved to Colorado to work with my cousin and my uncle in a mortgage company that they had, and then mortgages started dying. This was late 2003.
Yeah.
And
you picked a really good time to enter that business.
I know. Well, it gets even better. And so I'm like, well, I need a job. At the time, I was doing that and selling water filtration systems door to door, which was, talk about a job. But I was good at it, so it worked out really well for me. And there was a job. There was an ad in the paper that said 99% failure, 1% success, mid 6-figure income potential. I'm like, well, I can do that. So I went and applied, and it was an oil and gas company raising money to drill wells.
No shit.
And so after a long process of interviewing, I got hired. And 6 months later, I was there were 16 people in that office when I started. 6 months later, I was the only one left, and I built the next team in the office from scratch on my own. So I went from like basically a new guy to running that office. The guy really quick. And so a year and a half later, the 2 partners in that business split up. One of them asked me to partner with him because he was supposedly on his way to retirement. So I said yes. And the money I had in the bank all went into the company, and I bought in, and off we went. It worked very well, except I didn't like having a partner. So after 2 years, made him buy me out for a third of what I bought in for. Took that money, started the new company. That was May of 2008. And that's when I put together my first drilling deal, which was in Wyoming. And we funded it, and then oil price went to 25 bucks from 150. If I recall, it was like 150 to 20 something. It was horrible right in the middle of it. And then everyone else that was in that deal, we just bought a quarter of this deal. Everyone else backed out. So now our first deal of the company we have a quarter of this thing that we've already bought, but the 75% doesn't want to do it because they're afraid to spend their money because of what oil price just did. So we bought the rest of it and struggled to get it done. And that was like 08, 09. And then 2010, the guy that I had partnered with before found out he had a terminal ailment and like 6 months to live. So I bought that company back. At the same time, I bought a company from a guy that I was good friends with in Oklahoma City named Carl Swan, who was a big oil man, very well known in the Mid-Con in the 80s and 90s. He was the biggest. He was the second or third largest shareholder in Penn Square Bank. So he was up there at one point, and then to his dismay, he didn't file bankruptcy. He is the only party in the deal that didn't. So he put all his assets in a trust, and I think they're probably still paying families back. So anyway, one of those kind of people, though, just a good dude, like not the best business decision, but from the heart decision. Anyway, so somebody I wanted to do business with. So I bought his company, started Swan Energy, and we grew from like a $5 million company in 2010 to we were a $60 million a year company in 2013. 2012 was almost that number, and we did that like overnight, so it was just crazy.
Good for you.
And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, in there, when I was 32, I bought a NASCAR Cup team and was like racing on Sundays with Jeff Gordon and those guys. Every weekend we did that for 18 months. I did it, funded it. I had a couple partners along the way, but it was mostly me. And It was a tremendously expensive, amazing experience that if I only had that finite amount of money to do it again, and that was one of my two options, and my other option would be to stay home and do nothing and retire and, you know, weed my garden or whatever, I would go spend the money and do it again. It was that much fun. So
Yeah, awesome.
it was a cool experience. But yeah, so that, you know, along the way, and then 2014, everything went the other way. So went from like killing it to surviving again for a while there, you know. So
yeah,
in the middle of that, we bought a gold mine somehow, and still on that. I'm trying to sell it. And built some other businesses, bought and sold a couple companies. And about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I decided I wanted out of the fundraising business. So I sold that company. And right after that, or right around the same time, actually, I think is when we closed on, I think we closed on the company that Lyoid sold me 2 weeks before the closing happened when I sold my company.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was all real tight. And now I have a family office, and I'm buying and selling companies, and we're looking for opportunities. So
It's awesome.
that's where I'm
Really
at today.
cool,
It's been a hell of a ride.
Well,
hey, it's all about
Lord.
believing in yourself. I mean, like there, it sounds like you just made it happen, right? Like, believe in yourself, do what you think is right, go with the gut, you know. And it's tough sometimes and great sometimes.
You're on the winning side and you're on the losing side. I mean, I've been on both sides, and they come in waves for me, unfortunately. And they're big. You have some 8-figure waves going away. It's painful. And I had 3 years in a row with big 8-figure going away numbers. And I mean, I think the hardest part of that is swallowing your pride and getting back to work. You know, that at the end of the day, that's the hardest part, because it just beats you down. And but yeah, at the end of the day, everything I have is because of just busting my ass and working hard. And I figured if I was the hardest working guy in the room or in the industry or in this space, then I'm going to make it no matter what. And I did. At one point, we were the biggest fundraising company like we had that existed in the country, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an awesome story, man. I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, no kidding. It's that idea of just like, I mean, and you know, to our audience, the 12 listeners that are out there, it's but I'm joking, but it's like, you know, that idea that, you know, I mean, one of the things we typically ask our guests is, you know, like, what advice would you give, you know, folks going in the oil patch or folks not going in the oil patch? Well, just advice in general. And a lot of times we hear, like, a lot of oil guys specifically, they're like, don't do it at all, or work really hard. And there's no shortage of stories of guys who have worked real hard and they've done really well. And I mean, it's just like, and that's the thing that is kind of that constant theme of, you know, one of my favorite things about the oil field is that, you know, and like I said, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an operator, I'm a tourist, but I'm a decent tourist. But I've learned a lot, but I throw myself into it, and I appreciate that. But to see something like your story, and you know, hell, Lyoid just won a Super Bowl ring for selling units at his company, and it's just really great.
I'm a champion.
You can still, but you can
champion.
You can still, you know, I'm a big guy. I kind of choke up when the people chant USA, 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 but you can still do it if you work hard.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah.
You can. Yeah.
They're trying really hard to screw it up, but you can still do it. I mean, some of the stuff that's happening in the courts right now is scary. The stuff with Trump in New York is scary for any business person. I mean, it's fucking scary. And I don't understand why everybody wouldn't be freaking out, because there is no safe haven. There's no right way. You do everything per the law, and this still happens. And you're, you know, way on the other side of it. It's not even gray. It's black and white. Like, absolutely nothing wrong with what I did. Somebody hates me. Now it's a fucking, now I'm a fraud. It's just insane.
Well, the good news is that's all going to go away. I mean, it's going to get appealed. It's going to get cleared, because
I have one of those, Lyoid. I've had one since 2009. It's still going.
Oh my God.
And so it happens. And you're right. It will go away. Mine will go away if I don't run out of fucking money or die first. I mean, those are the two things.
Right.
And so, you know, I can't tell you that, you know, the number I bought that company from you for, put another zero on it, and that's probably what I've spent on it since 2009. Yeah, it's insane. And so, that's the other piece of that is like, yeah, he has money coming in from all these places to help him pay for that. But if he didn't, he would be taxed right now.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he would be
if
in trouble. That's I
if
mean the
if
bill
Truth
for the
Social
legal
hadn't have
side
brought in
is
so much money, he would be screwed. But Truth
exactly.
Social, like it went public and it blew up big time, like incredible on that. But it's because I mean,
Well, that and he has all these PACs helping him and all this other stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
money coming at him that wouldn't come at me or you or anybody else on the
right.
street that this could happen to. And if it could happen to us, it could happen to the most liberal person we know too. And that's the part I don't understand why people aren't jumping up and down going, what is going on in this country? Because it's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts.
So
It's not right. It's nuts. Our founding fathers would roll over in their grave, but it's the degradation of society, man. It's the downfall. Like there's only been a few societies that have lasted as long as we have in power, and we're it's somebody's gonna have to do something different, or we're on the decline, man. There's gonna be a new superpower very soon.
it's happening as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, you look at
So,
what's scaring me right now is the BRICS stuff. Have you been watching the BRICS stuff where it's like
no.
China and Russia and Iraq? I mean the Axis, right? They're all they've all gone together. It's basically like NATO, except it's for all the guys that aren't in NATO, right? Or some of them even are in
Oh
NATO.
yeah, I'm not surprised. I
But
saw that
they've
coming like 17 years ago.
yeah. So I mean they've got I think Saudi may be getting ready to participate. I know like Libya is. I mean like all these places, and they're doing international trade deals, and they've agreed to use cryptocurrency. So and they're backing their BRICS dollars with gold. So I mean they're doing it the right way. It's pretty. It's they're trying to get the world off of the U.S. dollar as a base monetary system, and they're doing it with their crypto and with gold backing of it. So it's pretty scary, man. It's
extremely scary.
yeah.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is.
happening. Anybody that hasn't heard of BRICS, just it's BRICS, I believe, just BRIICS maybe. Anyway, I don't remember what it stands for, but they are making moves, big ones.
This is why we like Lloyd, because he has a great way of bringing the show down a little bit.
Hey, it's not my fault. It's not my
No,
fault.
the reality is
Brandon
reality.
started
No,
this roller
I'm joking,
coaster.
but the reality.
I
Brandon
think it's my
started this
fault.
roller coaster.
No, it's not Brandon's fault.
Blame the guest.
I did it. I did it.
Damn it! Like that's it. No, it's not that. It's not it at all. So.
No, it's true though, man.
It's true. It is true. And just being a business owner and my being coming from nowhere and nothing. I was the poor kid in a small town. Like it was ugly. And here I am today. It's just all this is going to do is make it harder and harder and harder for people to do that, and it's going to give. That's the part that I don't understand, because it actually creates more separation between rich and poor people, and that is
Absolutely.
not what we need.
Well, and I mean, there comes a point where the guys that are in the middle decide, why am I going to continue to support this nonsense? I mean, these guys that are doing nothing
Financially, at some point, it doesn't make sense anymore.
It doesn't make sense.
Right. And that's the sad part. So then therefore it'll just be rich and poor. Yeah. There will be no middle class. They're eliminating it is what they're doing. And that's just crazy.
I do all right. I don't do as good as Brandon does, but I do all right. But I tell you what, I did well enough last year that I went into the next bracket, and it's like, why did I do that extra work? Because I just lost it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
There is a point where you step across the bracket and you make less than you would have if you hadn't.
It's ridiculous.
And everybody talks about the income taxes, but the guys that they're the 1% that they're trying to punish for whatever reason, they don't get a income. They don't have a check. Like they don't get a paycheck.
They don't have income. It's all
so gains. You're not punishing them with income taxes. You're punishing the middleman.
The people that are working.
Middle class. Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
Yep.
No, it's so obvious, but nobody sees it.
Yeah.
Because they get promised people that's what they're going to do before they know what the situation is. They're just stupid.
The really good
that's what I look at it. I think they're just
absolutely.
that dumb.
They are that dumb. They are that dumb, but they're getting smarter, because you can only do this stupid shit for so long before people catch on, and people are catching on big time.
You figure it out. I mean, in a very small scale, back in the day when I started my first little LLC, I went to the tax guy, and he's like, just go ahead and plan on about 42% of everything you make just going away. I'm just like, why am I even doing this? Why would I even? I'll just get a regular job at that point.
You
It's
just got to
like,
make more.
it's like you just gotta yeah, exactly. You just gotta
Gotta
make
make more.
enough where that 42% or whatever that percentage is, it makes difference. But it's just like it's complete shit. It's just like, and we're I was a kid who kind of, you know, I've reached a certain amount of success, didn't have a lot of opportunities, but yeah, those times are going further and further. And I would suggest the biggest thing in this country that we're doing as a, and we ended up talking about politics and kids a lot on this show, but one of the things that I'm passionate about is like, I think not everybody, but there's a lot of us that are raising kids that are just like, you know, socialism's going to walk right in. It's already has, because we've already convinced people and young people that, hey, we want that. They're like, we want that. I've got older kids from a previous marriage that are like, they're like, nah, man, that's just like, yeah, we got to get. I have this an older son who's like, he's like, well, you know, Dad, he's like, what about the living wage? I'm just like, well, who's gonna pay for that living wage? He's like, well, guys like you, and I'm like, fuck that. And it's
Yeah.
it's my own boy, and I'm just like, no, that's not fair. You know, it's just like they need to work hard and get, you know, figure out their way, and you know, but they have to have that opportunity, and we're not set up a scene to where they can do that. So
Well, the beautiful thing about
It's
the
not
policies,
it's not only unfair to me. It's just unpractical, and it's not sustainable.
and
You
it's
know,
immoral.
it'll that too. But if you keep taxing, you know, the more the taxes come up, the harder it is for people who don't have anything to get to a point where they're rich. You know, you can't get rich. That's why all these jerk offs, like, you know, that have these billions of dollars, that, you know, Bill Gates and all these people talk about wanting to pay more in taxes. Tell them to write a check. You can write a check to the IRS and donate as much money as you want.
That's
But
exactly
they're
right.
really trying to get income tax up to make it harder for people to get to where they are. I mean,
Right.
that's sad, but that's like, it's almost like a barrier. And people that are wealthy, like you said, they don't care what income tax rates are. They care what the other tax. What is it called?
The capital gains.
Capital gains. All they care about.
capital gains, yeah.
That's it. So
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that we're all going to starve when the dollar fails. We're all going to fail.
I won't starve.
Me either. I know how to fish, and I know
My
how to
neighbors
hunt.
will, but I won't. I
What's
can
that,
promise you that.
Country boy
Don't
will
live
survive,
close to
right?
me unless you're inviting me over. You know, that's because I'm gonna be there anyway.
Yeah, I got a bug out, got a garden. Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, that's the really that you know, that's a good point, Brandon. That's a really interesting thing, because the people that they're trying to destroy with all their taxes, keeping the middleman down and whatever, whenever it all goes to shit and their dollar's worth just as much as mine is, which is nothing, I still know how to feed myself, and their maid's not going to work for free. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Nope.
So
Nope.
we'll the same guys that are providing right now will continue to provide.
Yeah.
It'll be just fine. Might be ugly, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
My whole family lives in Colorado. I grew up in Denver, and one of the things about them is, like, you know, people there's always this perception in Denver. They're like, oh my God, it's awesome. It's just like mountains and pot and just like everybody's cool. Well, guess what? I grew up, you know, 70s, 80s or late 70s, 80s. And, you know, there's a lot of survivors out there that are living in the hills. And what typically happens is you'll start in the city. And if you stay there, as like, you know, families will stay there and they'll start moving to the hills. And I can tell you, like, even my mother and, you know, my stepdad are like, they're subsistence living. They've got gardens, they've got money, and they've got property, but they're prepared. And it's because, and it's for that reason. And
have to be.
There's this other side of Colorado that is heavily loaded with ammunition and a lot of firearms. And it's great, but it's like, it's not all roses and just fucking Grateful Dead concerts. There's another side of the state as well.
Yeah.
And for that reason, because you need to, right? You need,
well, you know. Colorado is beautiful. It's a shame what they've done to the place.
Definitely tarnished it in my eyes. I mean, I lived there for 13 years.
You were there,
Brandon. You've been a great guest, man.
Yeah, 13 years.
Hey, let's finish though with typically we ask a couple questions. give us the latest joke you've heard or your favorite joke. Give us a joke before we head you out.
I'm
if
not
you
a
don't,
joke
I
kinda
will, and
guy.
you've already seen how that
Please,
goes.
I want to hear more
If
of your
you
shitty
don't,
jokes.
Lloyd's got one.
Actually, I
Let's
don't. I
hear
should
it.
have thought of one before I said that.
See, this is the problem. I don't remember jokes. They're a waste of my. I'm not that smart. So whatever's in my head is what I have to have in there to do what I need to do tomorrow. I don't keep anything extra because I don't have room for it. And if that's not a joke, I don't know what else to say.
I think that's some good
gotta
advice.
keep it clear.
That's some good advice.
I don't
that's
worry
a
about
joke, but
shit
that's
I
some
can't
good fucking
control,
advice.
and I don't store things in my brain I don't need. So
Hey, I don't,
think about it. How many phone numbers did you know 20 years ago?
I know
You don't
0. I
remember
don't even know
because-
my own phone number.
Well, I probably know 3 now, but I used to know 30.
Yeah.
Think
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
for sure. Yeah.
But I still sometimes will remember one from 30 years ago too. I'll be like, why do I know that number?
Do you
I
ever
still
call
remember that.
Hey, do you ever call that old girl up and see what she's doing these days?
Hey, I still remember the number for Pizza Shuttle in Manhattan, Kansas, because they had a pretty
Pizza
cool
Shuttle's
gig.
the shit, man.
776-5577.
Well,
Cost
that's
out
because
Pizza Shuttle.
we had that in Lawrence too. So that was like the Pizza Shuttle, and that's not bad pizza, by the way.
That's good pizza. It's good
We
pizza.
need to get. They need to be our sponsors, by the way. We need to get them sponsoring us.
Yeah, Pizza Shuttle. Call Jeremy. He'll get you set up.
We got some North Mid-Con operators out there that might be listening.
That's how you gain 60 pounds and 10 inches, right there. That's the way. That's the way to success.
If I'm on the spot for a joke, I don't have a joke, but I'll leave you guys with a saying. Okay.
All right.
So there's thorns on all roses.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Were you trying to quote a Bret Michaels song? I'm not quite sure.
No, there's thorns on all roses. That is from his song.
I know.
That's exactly what it says in different words.
He got a real long reach in the derrick when he leads. He been all around the world on the big old rigs with the welders and the trucks on the black gold rush and the diesel burning cat motors growling in the mud. You better hire him on. He's the roughest neck around. He got the power in his hand to pull the dragons from the ground. Yeah.